To the list, the best of we go. We're talking casts today. Again, quick recap today. Best casts ever next Friday. Best seasons 1 through 20. And then over the next couple weeks, we'll do dailies, we'll do limbs, we'll do MVPs, quotes, moments, the whole thing. So today, right here, right now, we're talking the best casts of all time. We're doing a female cast top 5, a male cast top 5, and then quickly at the end, we'll throw on a best cast overall of all time that you'll probably be able to deduce and figure out most of that list based off of these first two. So let's go with the best female cast of all time first. Our top 5. Let's go from number 5 to number 1. Now, if you have listened to each and every one of those rewatch podcasts, all 20 that we've done, first and foremost, thank you. If you've made it all the way to the end of each one of those, thank you even more. And you will notice that some of this is very similar because we're using the same methodology. We're pulling the grades from there. I went and looked at all 20 grades for all 20 seasons, the female cast, and I started doing some comparison, and I started changing a few of them, honestly, because some of them were way off. That was the main, and one of the many main reasons. Now that I've said like 7 different main reasons, but another one of the many that needed to stop and needed to go back and re-examine these first 20 seasons, because in doing so, I realized I had some things way off. And as we went through each season, there was a couple times where I would say, ooh, this one we're talking about today is tied with this one I talked about 2 months ago, and turns out that one 2 months ago shouldn't have been graded like that, and I'm going to change it. I did change a few along the way, 3, 4 maybe at most, but then when I went back and looked at them all as a collective, I was like, holy shit, we got to change kind of a lot of these. So I did change a bunch. So if you've been keeping a scorecard at home, which I do know there's a few of you out there who have been, you might hear something here and say, Jacob, wait. You originally said it was this. Now you're saying it's that. Well, yes, I am, because now I get to compare all of them. And for instance, things like, let me think here. The most obvious one, I believe I had season 2, both on the male and the female side, rated like a full letter grade higher than it really should have been, when then looking back and being like, yeah, I loved that cast in the moment. But if we're actually grading these the way we started grading all the cast around season 7 or 8, like, very few of them had more than just that one season where, yes, I liked them, but that means there was just a bunch of solid contributors and not that many heavy hitters, because not that many of them built any real challenge resume. That might be the fault of just the time they were on the show. So be it. Let's dive into the female cast then. Number 5. There's 5 female casts that actually were at the going into this tied. There was 6 that were tied with the highest grades. That ended up changing. One of those 6 I dropped down. One of them I put slightly up, which left 4 tied at a letter grade of an A- that I had to decide between. The 4th of those, therefore the top, number 5 out of the 20 female cast ever, is the Duel 2. Quick rundown. Duel 2. Heavy hitters were Rachel, Anissa, DM, Paula, Ruthie, Katie. Solid contributors, Brittany, Tori, Jen, Kim, Brooke, Robin, and Siobhan. No duds in the group, which was a big deal for them that season. Even split heavy hitters, 2 solid contributors. Duel 2. Pretty incredible cast. Gets into the top 5. Then, one of the seasons that is a big surprise. There's a couple seasons that were surprises as we went through of like, man, these just grade out a lot better than you would think they would, especially on the cast side where you're just talking who was there, not necessarily what exactly happened. Number 4, best female cast of the first 20 seasons is The Island. Heavy hitters, Evelyn, Paula, Robin, Kellyanne, Rachel, Tanya. Solid contributors, Jen and Johanna. Only duds, Kali and Ashley. And specific with this was the nice little mixture of, you still had Robin, you still had Rachel, you still had Tanya, you still had some of the OGs hanging on in there, but then Evelyn, Kellyanne, Paula, Jen, Johanna, early in their careers. Love that female cast. And then the other big surprise right along with them, they always seem to end up in the same places as each other, and that's the Ruins. Also an A-. Heavy hitters, Susie, Veronica, Katie, Tanya, Evelyn, Kelly, and Sarah. DM, solid contributors, Johanna, Casey, and Kim. Duds, Abis, Brianna, and Siobhan. Much bigger cast here, obviously. So while, yes, an extra dud, solid contributor, but even more heavy hitters. And again, the incredible mixture of old and new OGs and, would nowadays also OGs, but, in the moment, younger, when you got Susie and Veronica and Katie and Tanya mixed in there with DM and Evelyn and Kellyanne and Sarah. Just incredible stuff. Breaks into the top 3. Number 2, though, it is beat out by The Duel. The Duel gets second here. It's actually listed at an A. I misspoke before. There's 2 that get full-blown A's. The Duel was the one I bumped up from an A- to an A during this exercise, breaking its tie and moving it into this second place. The heavy hitters, Jody, Anissa, DM, Beth, Paula, Tina. Solid contributors, Svetlana, Keena, Robin, Casey. A small cast, only 10, leading to 60% being heavy hitters. No duds. It's really great. And just, I just like this list of heavy hitters. It's a great dynamic. It's a great setup. The Duel is a full-blown A, the second best female cast of the first 20 seasons, leading to the best female cast we have had thus far through 20 seasons of recapping is The Gauntlet. Here it is. Heavy hitters, Coral, Trishelle, Tanya, Rachel, Sarah, Veronica, Tina, and Katie. Solid contributors, Irulan, Elka, Montana, Kara, wow, I still can't get it right after all of these different seasons, all these different pods. Kara and Ronnie, and then only one dud, and I feel kind of rude even saying dud, but Rachel B will put in the dud list from that. But it's really just all about the heavy hitters. Not only is there 8 of them in this cast of 14, so 60% again there, or whatever that equates to, close to 60, but the fact that we get a season with Coral, Rachel, Veronica, and Tina all there, and then on top of them, you have Katie, Trishelle, and Sarah and Tanya. Unbelievable. It can't be beat. I don't know if it will ever be beat, but certainly for the first 20 seasons, it was not beat. Over on the male side of things, male cast equally difficult to kind of nitpick and break the ties at the top. There are 3 male casts that come in at a full-blown A that make up the top 3, but then there was a host of others at an A- that we had to do the splitting of hairs. We had to figure out exactly where each one would fall. Here is where things came down. Starting at number 5, that was Fresh Meat 1. Heavy hitters, Darrell, Wes, Derek, Theo, Shane, Kenny, and Evan. Solid contributors, Big Easy, Johnny, and Ryan. Duds, Danny, and Jesse. You'll notice Danny's name a few times on this list, dragging a couple of these seasons possibly down from reaching even higher heights on this list. But Fresh Meat, an incredible mix of a couple of the standard OGs of that time, the Theos, the Darrells, even the Dereks and the Shanes who had just come in, mixed in with the rookie like Wes, the Fresh Meat like Kenny, Evan, Easy. Unbelievable stuff. Ryan's there. All of it very, very good. Coming in at number 5. Then number 4, it appears on this list, same as it appears on the female list. The Ruins is in number 4. Heavy hitters, Derek, Evan, Johnny, Kenny, Darrell, Wes, Brad. Solid contributors, Cyrus, Dunbar, Kohutta, Adam, and Chet. Duds, Nick, and Danny. If I'm comparing this, when I was comparing this, trying to split hairs between this group, it's got similar groupings of heavy hitters. It's got almost the same list of duds. Danny's in both of them. I like Nick a little more than I like Jesse if I was to compare the other dud there. And I kind of like the solid contributors on the Ruins over the Fresh Meat with Dunbar, Kohutta, Cyrus, Adam, Chet. That's just a killer list of solid contributors right there. So the Ruins comes in just above Fresh Meat. It comes in 4th. And above that, we then have our 3 that come in at A's. And boy, are these just... These are all-timers. Obviously, that goes without saying, but it's just crazy to look at how good and how right they got the casting multiple times over and in pretty quick succession of each other. There's a reason the peak era is the peak era, and a lot of it has to do with putting together some incredible cast and during their absolute peak of their performance and character arcs and everything else. So number 3 best male cast of the first 20 seasons is The Inferno 1. Heavy hitters CT, Darrell, Abram, Miz, and Timmy. Solid contributors David, Shane, Jeremy, Ace, and Cyrus. No duds to speak of. Pretty incredible 10-person cast, 50-50 heavy hitters to solid contributors, and just getting CT and Darrell, Abram, Miz, and Timmy, and being able to get a season with Miz and Timmy mixed in with a CT and Abram and Darrell, I like that kind of mixture of the two early eras of stars of the show. Everything about it is fantastic. Only beating it out are 2 seasons, one of which is its sequel. That is Inferno 2, which comes in second as the best male cast of the first 20 seasons. Heavy hitters: Abram, CT, Derek, Darrell, Landon, Miz, and Brad. Solid contributors: my guy Dan Renzi, award named after the man Dan. Duds, Karamo, and John. Probably unfair to John Brennan, but his couple appearances on the challenge weren't, no, it is unfair. I'm going to upgrade John from duds to solid contributors because John Brennan is the man. And, he was amazing on the first season of the show, but he went home first, the next 2 times he would appear. But this list is incredible. I mean, again, similar to Inferno, but just we're swapping out a couple legends for a couple different legends. And again, Abram, CT, Darrell are all there. The Miz is still there, but now we've got Derek, Landon, and Brad in the mix. It's incredible. And then you throw in Dan Renzi to make it all fun and comical and entertaining. Incredible stuff. A full-blown A. Number 2, only second to the best male cast of the first 20 seasons, and one that I think will be very hard to beat even over the course of the next however many seasons that we eventually have of this show. That is, of course, the Duel 1. Heavy hitters: Wes, Brad, CT, Evan, Derek, Kenny, Tyler, and Bananas. Solid contributors: Easy and Nehemiah. That is 8 out of 10 cast members that are heavy hitters. And the other 2 solid contributors are Easy and Nehemiah, both with big impacts on this show. Both, if we were to rank every solid contributor ever on the male side, they would be certainly in the top half, probably the top quarter. They're very impact players themselves. So they nailed it all the way through. Is as big a names as could possibly have been brought together. It was kind of a meeting of 2 different generations. Tyler and Bananas go home first, sure, but they are there, and they would go on to be Tyler Duckworth and Johnny Bananas. So they're there. They still count on that. We've got the new young bucks from the season prior in Evan and Kenny. We've got Brad and Derek in their 4th or 5th season trying to prove themselves. We got rookie Wes, 2nd season Wes, coming out for the win. CT at his biggest and most scary and fierce. It's insane. It's clearly the best cast. It's one of the many reasons we named that at the time of its recording the best season ever. We'll see come this Friday if the Duel remains in the top spot of all time on that front. But the male cast, only on that side, it does remain in the top spot. The best male cast through the first 20 seasons, the Duel. Finally, let's combine the 2 then. We've said top 5 female. We've said top 5 male. Let's talk top 5 casts ever of the first 20 seasons of the show. Of course, combine them all. Quick recap on the female side, only the female side. We said the Gauntlet, the Duel, the Ruins, the Island, Duel 2. That was your top 5. On the men's side, it was Duel, Inferno 2, Inferno, Ruins, Fresh Meat, which helps lead us to almost all of the ones, all of the ones said here obviously have been said before, but now which ones turn into the best combinations. In 5th place, best cast of the first 20 seasons, 5th place goes to Fresh Meat, one of my all-time favorite seasons. B+ on the female side and A- on the men's side. Incredible cast all the way through. 4th place then is the Inferno 1. Boy, did they know how to cast when they went for the Inferno. Maybe it was just something about, the badasses versus the good guys, whatever it was about that format. They just know how to cast, because 4th place was Inferno. 3rd place is Inferno 2. On the Inferno 1, it's a B on the female side, an A on the male side. On Inferno 2, slightly better, a B+ on the female side, an A on the male side. And then that leads to the top 2. The surprise of surprises certainly is, because of the way and my preconceived notions and my first thought when I think of it. We discussed it all when we did this season on the rewatch series very recently. But number 2, the Ruins, an A-, A-. It shows up on both the best female and the best male list, and it certainly shows up on the best combined cast of the first 20 seasons. It comes in at number 2, only falling short of, but honestly, by a bit of a gap from the obvious one. We talked about it at length. We declared it then and there when we did season 13, the Duels rewatch podcast itself, that it was the best cast ever and that there was no way it was probably ever going to be beat. And now through 20 seasons, we can say definitively it has not. It's an A on the women's side, an A on the men's side. It is, quickly to recap, even though I just said it, on the men's side, it's 8 out of 10 competitors are heavy hitters. West, Brad, CT, Evan, Derek, Kenny, Tyler, Bananas. Insanity. And on the female side, it's the second best ever, and it has no duds as well, has 6 heavy hitters, Jody, Anissa, DM, Beth, Paula, and Tina, out of the possible 10, which means 14 of the 20 across that whole season are heavy hitters. 14 out of 20. Holy cow, that's incredible job. Whoever was casting that particular season, if they don't still work for the show, maybe bring them back. Maybe give them a call, see what they're up to, see if they want to get their old job back. But insane stuff the Duel is, as far as the cast is considered and as far as pretty much everything else is considered, because as we know, the Duel is right now, going into Friday's rankings, is the odds-on favorite to remain in the top spot. It was when we did that podcast. So far, barring any adjustments, it will likely be there again on Friday, but we're not going to know that until Friday. Quickly, though, we've said the best of the best. And in the future, on some of these other breakdowns of the best from the first 20 seasons, we might be including the worst of the worst. The casting was the one area where it was a lot harder to do that because, yes, there are casts that aren't as good as these ones we have just proclaimed the best of the best, but there's no like horrible cast. There's no season where you look back and be like, holy shit. There's no one that ever mattered to the show. And it's just not a real possibility because of the amount of people they're putting in every cast. If I had to go, what were the worst casts ever, which is just unfair to say because it's way too negative of a connotation for 2 casts that I actually like with a lot of people I love, I'd probably have to say either Extreme Challenge Season 4 or Season 15, The Gauntlet 3. A quick rundown of those casts for you, just so you can see what I'm talking about here, if I can find them on my list. There we go. On the Extreme Challenge, like, if this is the worst cast ever, it really gives you the credence to why this show is so amazing and is still on all these years later, because the cast on Extreme Challenge, Dan Renzi, Jamie Murray, Julie, Camila, Rebecca, and Cyrus on the Real World team. On the Road Rules side, Ayana, Christian, Emily Bailey, James Orlando, Latarian, Michelle, and Susie. So, I mean, breaking that up, you've got my guy Dan Renzi, you've got Cyrus there, you've got Julie there, you've got one of the original goats of the show, Jamie Murray there, you've got Susie there, Latarian, Emily Bailey, so many good. Ayana, Latarian, I mean, yeah. If that's the worst cast they've ever had, that's all you need to know why this show is still going strong 20 odd years later, 40 plus seasons later, because that's the worst they've ever done. And that's an incredible cast that I love dearly, so many of those people. So with that, that is our best casts of all time through the first 20 seasons of the show. That is the eras of the show. That is all for today's podcast, covering the first of a 6-part rewatch recap series, looking back at the 20 seasons we have covered. Of course, if you haven't listened to all 20 of those seasons, if you haven't binged your favorite seasons from 1 through 20 or 11 through 20, I know you cannot still find most of the first 10 seasons out there online unless you get super duper lucky with the right message to the right person on Reddit or whatever. But go back, rewatch, listen to those first 20. We're going to continue to recap them for the next 2.5 weeks here. Our rewatch recap mini series we've done for the day. Remember, this Friday, top 20 seasons, 1 through 20, re-ranking them, updating them, putting them where they officially, this time we're carving it in stone, baby. It's official for all time, these grades that we're going to give, or at least until I'm done with all the other seasons. And then next week, we'll do best top 20 dailies, top 20 eliminations, followed the third week by the top 20, ranking all the MVPs, the best cast members of the first 20 seasons, and then that final one on that final Friday, the top 20 quotes and the top 20 moments of the first 20 seasons. So that's what we're doing for the next 3 weeks. I hope you enjoyed this one. As always, get in touch on Instagram at Challenge Historian if you want to talk challenge, if you think these rankings are absolutely bogus, if you think I've got something wrong, if you think there was some fatal error, whatever it is, hit me up. Let's talk. Let's chop it up about the challenge. Until then, Get ready for Wednesday. Ride or Dies are ramping up. Episode 4. Things are looking great. If you're a Survivor watcher, make sure to come back. Most likely 2 podcast feeds Saturday mornings for that. It's all being covered everywhere you look. We've got reality competition series to watch and to pod about. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.